This was a tale of two halves. As you can see by this graph, the first half was very competitive for both teams. Both teams had opportunities to score, but in the second half, Real Madrid took over. Gonzalo Garcia continues to enjoy an amazing spell at Real Madrid during this tournament. You expect him to score from that distance, but there's hardly anyone in the squad who plays in that traditional 9 role and is a physical presence in the box. We saw some tactical modifications in this match. At times, Dean Huijsen was playing as a left back. We saw Trent push high up the pitch. We saw Fran Garcia put in a hell of a shift. And of course, Trent gets his very first assist as a Real Madrid player, the first of many. Before I break down the tactics in this match, if you're new here, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. Notice how in possession, Tchouaméni would drop to form a back 3 with Huijsen and Rudiger. You've heard me say in previous videos that Xabi Alonso has said that Tchouaméni is a cornerstone of his tactical formation. And part of the reason for that is he's having to play this sort of hybrid role. In some cases, Tchouaméni is responsible for initiating the ball progression from the back. And in other cases, he's dropping in to form that back 3 where he's been so solid defensively. But one of the keys to this system under Xabi Alonso, the back 5, is that oftentimes is not a back 5 because whenever the opposition is in possession, one of the defenders would push high up the pitch to pressure the ball. That would then make the back 5 a back 4, and the team would then defend in a 4-4-2 formation even though it's a back 5. There are many triggers that initiate the pressing from Real Madrid, but the key to Xabi Alonso's system you could see is whenever an attacking player from the opposition has the ball, there needs to be a player who pressures that ball. That then leaves a gap in the defense, which is then oftentimes filled by one of the other players. But the key is that Real Madrid is always in a back 4. The other thing you'll notice is in possession, Jude Bellingham is playing as a number 10 in this formation. The key with Jude Bellingham is he oftentimes is receiving the ball. He's taking very few touches to release Vinicius or Gonzalo Garcia. But out of possession, Jude Bellingham positions himself in the right half space. So when the ball moves out to the left back for the opposition, Jude Bellingham is there to pressure the ball. But part of the reason why Jude Bellingham is in that half space is that if their pivot player receives the ball as well, Jude Bellingham is well positioned to be able to pressure one of those balls. But one of the things that Real Madrid struggled with in this match is that the build-up play was so slow and it was very telegraphed. One of the things that Xabi Alonso talked about after the match is that he wanted to create more overloads on the wings to have more numerical superiority. We saw Vinicius play more centrally in the first half. He then moves out to the left flank in the second half. One of the issues that Real Madrid had in this match is that Juventus defended with so many players behind the ball, especially trying to overcrowd central zones. In their homework, they probably realized that in Real Madrid's last game against Salzburg, they had a lot of luck penetrating the spaces between the lines by playing those line-breaking passes to Jude Bellingham. So they played with a back 5, and their goal was to leave no space in the middle. So Xabi Alonso makes those adjustments in the second half where Real Madrid takes over the match. And he was oftentimes signaling to the players to slow down the tempo to have more control when Real Madrid was ahead. But before we were ahead, you'll notice that one of the things Xabi Alonso really likes to do is, when the ball is recovered, to play very fast vertical passes to Vinicius to release him. We can expect to see this when Kylian Mbappe is back as well. Rather than having them always position themselves behind the ball and defend with 11 players, Xabi Alonso is opting to have 2 of his players high up the pitch, so when the ball is recovered, Real Madrid can then release Vinicius. They can release Gonzalo Garcia in this case. And this has been very effective because of the pace of the Real Madrid attackers. He's really playing to the strengths of the players that we have at Real Madrid. And one of the players who has been absolutely instrumental in not only progressing the ball forward, Jude Bellingham has been absolutely key in that, but a player who's been playing between the lines, who has been absolutely essential to Real Madrid's success throughout this entire tournament, who's probably the man of the tournament for Real Madrid, is Valverde. He is the most consistent player who shows up game in and game out. In terms of his ball recoveries, there are so many times throughout matches where he's putting out fires, he's recovering the ball for Real Madrid, he's winning 50-50 duels. But in addition to that, he's having shots on target, he's creating chances for Real Madrid. He obviously has been scoring goals this tournament. He's a player who can literally do it all. And in tonight's match, he had 93% pass accuracy, 5 key passes, countless ball recoveries. Fede Valverde is one of the top 5 best football players in the world right now, without a shadow of a doubt. But in terms of consistency, there is no football player on the planet right now who is like Fede Valverde, who's as consistent as him, who shows up every single game. Another really good performance by Arda Güler. He's really growing into this role. And what you're seeing, the trend with Arda Güler is his pass completion keeps going up and up and up, is because he's getting more comfortable with playing this role. At times, he's playing ambitious passes, but that role also requires somebody just to keep the ball moving, and he's starting to understand the variety of passes that are needed for a player who plays that position. In addition to having 91% of his passes completed, he also had 3 key passes, 2 big chances created, 9 out of 11 long balls, and not to mention all the work he's doing defensively off the ball. In this match, he formed a double pivot with Fede Valverde, and obviously Jude would then play ahead of them at the 10. But you can see that Arda is just growing in confidence and stature, and he will just continue to improve and grow in this role. But one of the things that surprised me the most, before the tournament, Xabi Alonso said that he saw Jude Bellingham as a more traditional midfielder, as a player who's going to get many touches on the ball. But what we're seeing is Arda Güler is the one who's dropping deeper, collecting the ball, progressing it forward, and Jude Bellingham is playing as a number 10 in possession. This is a bit contrary to what we heard from Xabi Alonso in those press conferences when he was appointed. Many of us expected Arda Güler and Jude Bellingham to trade places, to have Arda Güler be higher up the pitch because he's so decisive in the final third, and to have Jude Bellingham, based on what Xabi Alonso said, to be the midfielder who has many touches on the ball. But the way the system is designed currently, it's Jude Bellingham who has the opportunity to crash the box. His numbers have been phenomenal since joining Real Madrid. You want a player like that in the attacking third. But the big question is, now that Kylian Mbappe is back, what happens with Gonzalo Garcia? A player who's been working so hard, a player who's been scoring, who's been involved in many goals, he's been assisting and scoring, but his work rate has been exceptional. Today, we saw Kylian Mbappe actually pressing the ball, working hard off the ball. But there's no question that the team feels a little bit more balanced now. Do you drop Gonzalo Garcia? Does he become a player who just comes off the bench for you? You don't have that kind of profile player in the team. If you look at Kylian Mbappe, his best performances have always been when he's played off of a traditional number 9, like he has with France, with Olivier Giroud, for example. Gonzalo Garcia can play that role. But then you have the likes of Vinicius. It's yet to be seen how these two are going to work together cohesively. Because whenever you have a new manager, you have that new manager bounce. You're seeing the likes of Fran Garcia playing at his best level since he joined the club. You're seeing Arda Güler also in a similar boat. A lot of these players who were on the fringes, who didn't really have a chance under Carlo Ancelotti, players like Gonzalo Garcia would never have played under Carlo Ancelotti. But at the same time, you have players like Rodrigo and Brahim Diaz, who have been such a critical piece and spine of Real Madrid's success for the last few seasons, hardly playing minutes. So far, in Real Madrid's last 3 matches, Rodrigo has only played 23 minutes. We're talking about a guy who's won 2 Champions League titles, a guy who's been such an important part of Real Madrid's success. How long is he going to accept a role where he's playing behind a player who's last season just in the Castilla? It's likely that Kylian Mbappe will start the next match, and I will be watching and analyzing the match and providing you all with a tactical breakdown. So make sure you guys stay tuned, subscribe to my channel. And if Real Madrid makes it to the game against PSG, it looks likely that based on the bracket, Real Madrid will face PSG not in the next match, but in the semifinal if both teams win their next match. I will plan to go to that game, the one in New York City. I'll do a vlog and would love to do a meetup with some of you guys. Maybe set something up in New York City. If any of you will be traveling in that match, just let me know in the comments. So I would love to set something up. Thank you for watching, and Hala Madrid.